بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. We've reached the third hadith. We're not going to finish it off today, but we'll just start it off. And we'll actually start off just reciting the first part of the hadith. So hadith number 3. Imam Bukhari رحمه الله تعالى, he says, قال حدثنا يحيى بن بكير قال حدثنا الليث عن عقيل عن ابن شهاب عن عروة بن الزبير عن عائشة أم المؤمنين رضي الله عنها أنها قالت: أول ما بدأ به رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم من الوحي الرؤيا الصالحة في النوم. We'll stop there and we'll see how far we get. The first thing that we'll talk about, as ever, whenever we do these, is having a look at somebody in the chain and just learning about our history, and learning about somebody with regards to the scholars of our tradition. The person I want to talk about today is Urwa ibn Zubayr. So in this chain, Urwa ibn Zubayr is the one who narrates from the Sahabiyah Aisha radiallahu anha. So the students of the Sahaba, of course, are the Tabi'een, and the Tabi'i that we're talking about today is Urwa ibn Zubayr. Who is Urwa ibn Zubayr? Last week we spoke about Harith ibn Hisham, and we said that he is the grandfather of one of the Fuqaha as-Sab'ah. Well, Urwa ibn Zubayr is one of the Fuqaha as-Sab'ah. He is one of the seven giants in fiqh with regards to the time of the Tabi'een. As we said last time, these were the seven giants of fiqh with regards in the time of the Tabi'een, and Umar ibn Abdul Aziz rahimahullah ta'ala made them as the shura basically for the Islamic empire. And you know what? Urwa ibn Zubayr was one of the biggest of the Fuqaha as-Sab'ah. He wasn't just from amongst the Fuqaha as-Sab'ah, he was one of the biggest of the Fuqaha as-Sab'ah as well. It was narrated that some of the Sahaba used to come to him for knowledge and used to ask him questions, and that just shows you his station, radiallahu anhu. Ibn Zubayr, who is, of course, first of all, a little about his lineage. Of course, his father is none other than Zubayr ibn al-Awwam, radiallahu anhu, one of the 10 that have been promised paradise. And his brother is Abdullah ibn Zubayr. Abdullah ibn Zubayr. Abdullah ibn Zubayr is, of course, a companion. So his brother is a companion, his father is a companion, his mother is a companion. His mother is Asma bint Abu Bakr. His mother is the daughter of Abu Bakr. So what a lineage! What a lineage! You've got Zubayr in your lineage. You've got from your father's side, you've got Abu Bakr in your lineage from your mother's side. This is a blessed family. Your brother is a Sahabi, Abdullah ibn Zubayr. And then comes Urwa. So Urwa misses the companion era. He's younger than his brother, and he is a Tabi'i. He was born roughly in the year 23 Hijrah. In the year 23 Hijrah. What is really important with regards to Urwa ibn Zubayr? What is his legacy, if you like? Of course, Urwa ibn Zubayr here narrates from his auntie Aisha. If his mother is Asma bint Abu Bakr, which means that his auntie is Aisha, because of course Asma and Aisha are sisters. And because Urwa's auntie is Aisha, what that means is that it gives him access to Aisha radiallahu anha that others did not have. Because of course he is her mahram. He can walk in on her whenever he wants. He doesn't have to speak to her behind the curtain or anything like that. It's family. It's his auntie. And what happened essentially is that Urwa became one of the biggest students of Aisha, literally to a point where he says, "I literally know, and I know the ahadith of Aisha." He knows the ahadith of Aisha. So he really preserves so much of the knowledge of Aisha, and that's because of his access, rahimahullah ta'ala. He narrates very little from his father. So he narrates very little from his father Zubayr because he was very young. So we don't really see him narrating from his father much. But he does narrate from other companions as well, not just Aisha. But you could say, he is one of the biggest students of Aisha. What about his life? It was said that he used to read 1/4 of the Quran every day. He used to read 1/4 of the Quran every day. So it wasn't just knowledge. He used to act upon knowledge. He used to be a person of ibadah. He used to be a person of worship, reading the 1/4 of the Quran every day. And there's a very famous story that once he had some sort of disease in his leg, and essentially what the doctors decided is that they had to get his leg chopped off. And he was offered some alcohol for the pain. That's what they had at the time, like the pain meds back then was alcohol, and he was like, no way. And essentially, what happened is that he just relied upon his own kind of ibad, his own kind of Quran, and they chopped his leg off because of the disease that he had. So he actually was trialed with regards to he had such a bad disease that they eventually had to chop his leg off. And people would say that we've never seen patients like the patients of Urwa ibn Zubayr. We've never seen patients like the patients of Urwa ibn Zubayr. And at the same time of this happening, he just came back from a trip essentially, and one of his sons, Muhammad, died, passed away. And he says, this is a beautiful statement, I'll read it out. Allahumma kana li banun sab'a. Oh Allah, I had 7 sons. فأخذت واحدا, and you took one of them. وأبقيت لي 6, and you left me with 6. وكان لي أطراف 4, and I had 4 limbs. فأخذت طرفا وأبقيت 3, and you took one of the limbs and you left 3. Yeah, so he had 7 sons. He said, "Oh Allah, you took one and you left me with 6. Oh Allah, I had 4 limbs. You took one, you left me with 3." And then he essentially says, وَلَئِنْ ابْتَلَيْتَ لَقَدْ عَافَيْتَ وَلَئِنْ أَخَذْتَ لَقَدْ أَبْقَيْتَ. SubhanAllah, beautiful. He says, "Oh Allah, and if you were to test, if you were to trial, then you also favor. And when you take, then you also leave." SubhanAllah. Yeah, and he's basically saying that although that you trialed me with chopping off of my leg, you gave me the blessings of having 3 other limbs. Although that you trialed me with regards to taking away one of my sons, you left me with 6. SubhanAllah. Yani this is somebody who, rahimahullah ta'ala, he really joined between knowledge and between God consciousness. There's also a nice story with regards to. When I say stories, I don't just mean it's just like a fairy tale. I mean, these are stories that are mentioned in the books of Rijal, and I try to the best of my ability to try and pick stories that seem to be authentic. There's once Urwa ibn Zubayr was with Ibn Umar, Abdullah ibn Umar, Mus'ab, and his other brother Abdullah ibn Zubayr. The 4 of them were sat there sitting, as you do. And of course, these are young companions and, of course, tabi'in. And they were just, as you guys, as friends do. And of course, they're brothers, so 3 brothers and Abdullah ibn Umar. And they're just kind of talking. Okay, what do you guys, what do you guys want to do? What's your kind of goals in life? Where do you want to be? Abdullah ibn Zubayr says, "I want to have khilafah. I want to be the Khalifa." Urwa is the one that we're talking about. He says, "And yu'khadh anni al-ilm." He says, "I want to be in a place where people take knowledge from me." Mus'ab, he said, "I want to have Imra'at al-Iraq." He says, he basically said he wanted to have 2 wives, and he mentioned 2 different names. And basically, these 2 women were known for their beauty and their righteousness and so on and so forth. So he basically says, "I want to have these 2 as my wives." And Abdullah ibn Umar, radiallahu anhu, he says, what does he want? He wants al-maghfirah. He goes, "I just want forgiveness." SubhanAllah. And they say, Abdullah ibn Zubayr got what he wanted. He became the Khilafah of Mecca. And of course, for those, we can't go into this life of Abdullah ibn Zubayr, but he has a very big political role to have, and he basically has a mini state in Mecca. Unlike his brother Urwa, the one that we're talking about. And of course, Abdullah Zubayr is a Sahabi, a great Sahabi. But unlike his brother, Urwa was not politically involved. Urwa did not like politics. He didn't like to get involved in politics. But his brother Abdullah did want to get involved in politics. And of course, because he wanted the Khilafah, isn't necessarily a bad thing. You can want the Khilafah for the right reasons. To do islah, to do good. And of course, one of the people whose shade is a just ruler. It's not necessarily a bad thing to want to have the Khilafah if you're qualified for it. But Urwa, what did Urwa want? He wanted knowledge to be taken from him, and that's what happened. He became from the Fuqaha as-Sab'a. He came from amongst the most important writers of Hadith, especially with regards to Aisha anha. He really did become one of the most amazing scholars in the generation of the Tabi'een. And Mus'ab got those 2 women, and they say that we hope that Ibn Umar radiallahu anh got his forgiveness. فَنَالُوا مَا تَمَنَّوْا. They got each what they wanted. And of course they say, وَلَعَلِّ ibn Umar قَدْ غُفِرَ لَهُ. And we hope that Abdullah ibn Umar radiallahu anhuma was forgiven. This is a introduction to Urwa ibn Zubayr, one of the Fuqaha as-Sab'a. We'll just quickly start the beginning of this hadith. This is, of course, the hadith of, the very famous hadith. I'm sure you guys have heard this full story. It's the story of Iqra. It's the story of when the first revelation was revealed. And of course, we're in the chapter in Sahih Bukhari of Kayfa Kana Bada al-Wahy. How did revelation start? And this is the story of the beginning of revelation. Aisha radiallahu anha, she says, bear with me 2 seconds. Now, 2 seconds, sorry. Okay, yes. Aisha radiallahu anha, she says that the first thing, أول ما بدأ به, the first thing that comes when it comes to prophethood is الرؤيا الصالحة في النوم, is when good dreams come true. Good dreams come true. This is the first thing that happens with regards to prophethood. And this is what happened with the Prophet ﷺ, is that when he would see a dream, it would come true. As it says in this hadith, فَكَانَ لَا يَرَى رُؤْيَةً إِلَّا فَلَقَ الصُّبْحِ, that he would not see a dream except that it would essentially come true. Except that it would essentially come true. And this is the first aspect of prophecy. And it comes in another hadith of Prophet ﷺ that there's only one aspect of prophecy that is still around, and that is good dreams, as in dreams that come true. And it comes in the hadith that is 146th of prophethood. Now, how long have we been going for? Okay, we can go on for a few more minutes. So what used to happen was, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, ثم حبب إليه الخلاء. Then he started to love seclusion. And it comes in the hadith in the Tirmidhi, al-khalwa. That's what al-khala means, is al-khalwa, seclusion. So he used to love seclusion, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. وكان يخلو بغار حراء. He used to go and seclude himself in, the famous cave, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. فيتحنث فيه وهو التعبد. So he used to go and تحنث. What is tahannath? Some of the linguists, they say it's from al-Hanifiyya. It's this idea of monotheism, and it's essentially to, if you like, to stop sinning, if you like. So it's almost like a double negative. And so that's what some of the linguists talk about. And then this edition, if you're looking in Sahih Bukhari and Sunnah.com, وهو التعبد, this edition, وهو التعبد, is not from Aisha, radiallahu anha. Majority say that this was an inclusion by Az-Zuhri, who is the person who narrates from Urwa ibn Zubayr. And basically what it is he's explaining the word. Tahannath, what is tahannath? And Zuhri says, وَهُوَ التَّعَبُّدْ, and this is worship. So he essentially used to go to this cave and reflect and worship in a way Allah knows best. Perhaps it was reflection, or perhaps it was dua, Allah knows best. But he essentially used to go and reflect and worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or contemplate upon his creator Jalla Jalaluh, for many nights, for many days. And what he used to do is that he used to go to Khadija radiallahu anha, ويتزوج لذلك, and she used to give him provision, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Then he used to go back to the cave. حتى جاءه الحق وهو في غار حراء, until the truth came to him when he was in this cave. That's, I think, where we'll stop. A nice cliffhanger. This hadith, up until now, what it's shown us is, number one, the importance of seclusion. And we should take this as a lesson that actually seclusion is important for us. It helps us to refine our thoughts. It helps us to connect with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And I think in nowadays, what the seclusion really is seclusion of smartphones. And I'm most guilty of this. We can seclude from people, but we can't seclude from our smartphones. And we need to have some time just between us and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's what we need. We really need time between us and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We also see the importance of women and their role in Islam. This is before prophethood. And look how Khadija radiallahu anha was supporting him, sallallahu alayhi wasallam. She was providing him provision. And he used to go for many days and come back, and she used to give him more provision so that he can go up and spend more time in the cave. And and look at it's incredible, really it's incredible. Nowadays we're like, what are you doing? Well, why are you going out and wasting your time going up to a cave? That's what most people would. But Khadija radiallahu anha was the rock from the very beginning, radiallahu anha, one of those who perfected her Islam, radiallahu anha, and we'll also see her role later on in this hadith. Then I think we'll stop this there. وصلى الله وسلم على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين.